move on to the D items. Can I have a motion on items D1 through D4?
So moved.
Mrs. Becker and who, Mrs. Shaw?
It was actually Mr. Philipchak.
Mr. Philipchak.
Mhm.
And just want to remind everybody that there's for the board conference, so if you could abstain on your own. Okay. Is there any discussion? Mr. Philipchak.
Again, Mr. Juliana, thank you for D2. I guess was that refund unexpected, that $14,758?
Yes. That was related to the improvements that we had done at the media centers for the junior high and the high school and the tennis courts.
Right.
And abatement at Irwin. Right. We had some savings there then that was not anticipated, and so that money goes back into the capital reserve.
Right. Then I spent some time on D4. I spent some time on the website. I wasn't making any bids, but I have.
Did you win some?
No,
Oh.
I've. Yes, I have. I really don't want to get into it right now at this point in time. Glancing over at.
But that 83 tractor is sitting out in front of your house now.
With the plow on it. But what I found was the bids on the trucks and the buses and the vans, very active. The one bus had 42 bids on it, another bus had 23, a van had 20 bids, and I'll stop right there. So when I did my calculations, we're talking about close to $100,000, and that was as of this afternoon, and I think there were still like 22 hours left on the auction. So that's great that we're doing it that way. We talked about this at our last board meeting. However, and I don't know if it's my place to say this, but a lot of the other items, the tables and the chairs, there was no activity whatsoever because I feel that the prices were too high. For argument's sake, there was a library chair, and a very nice chair, but still, you know, I don't know where you're going to put the chair, and I guess the bidding started like at $1.50, $150, and that stuff's not going to move. Not telling you what to do, but hinting that maybe if you started off the bids a lot, just to get rid of the stuff at $25 and $10, maybe it would go. But it was great to see the activity on the vehicles. Thank you.
The vehicles, if I may for a moment,
Yes.
we did very well. We got more than fair market value on those vehicles as a result. And we almost received double the amount that we were seeking for each of those buses in some cases. On average, it was probably more like 50–60% more than what we were seeking. So it was very, very fruitful for the district. And as far as the rest of the equipment that we have out there on bid, my objective is to get as much as possible. There's no harm in asking for more and seeing if we get it, because then we can just turn around and tweak the price and go right back out to bid again.
Does the Municipid website, do they help you manage those situations? I mean, do they make recommendations at all on, you know, what you should be asking or how long you should leave something at a certain price before you drop it? So
no, but my methodology for pricing items has been, I've done internet searches for similar items, whether they're computer tables, the library chairs that are on this list for surplus, and I've looked to see what those have sold for, what they sell for. Some of those chairs are considered retro. And
but of course,
and really, they get a good price.
A higher reserve for those items.
So yes, there's a higher reserve for those items.
okay.
So it's not just about getting rid of it, it's about making sure that we're getting as much revenue out of that as is possible.
So just go back out again if you have to, right? Mr. Philipchak.
My comments also were with D2 and D4. D2, I understand that this was a financial item rather than an operational item. and we see more of the change orders with the operational orders. And I noticed that it's a capital reserve account. So when the capital reserve, it's the same thing about money coming in and coming out, but it's classified differently. On D4, is there a possibility that we could get maybe not just in the update of possibly a board meeting, when we do retire a few things, can we find out what we make a profit? Can we find out? Because I know that we're approving.
What the sales
Yeah, when
amounted to?
when it's finished.
Absolutely.
When it's finished, I'd like to know how well we do.
Sure, absolutely.
And thank you.
Any other questions on those items? We'll do a roll call then.
Yes. Mrs. Becker?
Okay, yes, except for D1A abstention.
I don't think I have it.
Okay, Mrs. Howard?
Yes, except for abstain on D1D.
Mr. McAvoy?
You're D1F.
I'm D1F? I was looking.
I've sunk your battleship.
Yes, except for I abstain on D1F.
Mr. Philipchak?
Yes, except for abstain
Okay.
on D1G.
Mrs. Shaw?
Yes, although I abstain on D1H.
And Dr. Cohen?
Yes, with an abstention on D1C.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'd like a motion on items E1, 2, and 3.
So moved.
Mrs. Shaw, Mrs. Becker, is there any discussion? Mr. McAvoy?
I thought there was going to be a discussion in closed session before we voted on E1.
There's an addendum that's waiting until after closed session.
Okay. So I will vote right now?
Mm-hmm.
Without those,
Without the addendum.
without those items.
Anybody else? Okay, a roll call then again.
Mrs. Becker?
Yes.
Mrs. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. McAvoy?
Yes.
Mr. Philipchak?
Yes.
Mrs. Shaw?
Yes.
Dr. Cohen?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Is there any old business?
There's no old business.
Okay, information items, committee or organization reports for this evening?
Yeah, I have.
Mr. McAvoy?
The Human Relations Council met a week ago Monday. And just as Dr. Valesky said, September 19th is the date that everyone has marked on their calendar for EB Day, 12 noon to 5 p.m. over at the Playhouse 22 grounds, where the Human Relations Council will have a table as well as the East Brunswick schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Howard?
Yeah, just two announcements. First, please remember, Dancing with the East Brunswick Stars will be on October 4th. Tickets are available online, and this year they're reserved seating. So get on there. It's full halfway up, so you better go get your tickets. It's going to be a lot of fun. Brad's been practicing very hard.
Very hard. It will be fun, though.
We happen to have autographed copies of the
Yes.
program here. And we might want to put those on Municipid as well.
Good one, Mac.
What kind of reserve are we going to have for that?
And he's been working very hard, getting ads and everything. And the students' bottom line are the ones who benefit from all this. So it was a fantastic night last time we had it, so put it on your calendars. And also at back-to-school nights, the members of the EBF, along with the members of the Student Association, will be manning tables, giving you information about the foundation, and asking you to please make a donation for the Apples for Education. The kids love coming in the morning, and there's bulletin boards set up, and their names are on the apples. You know, give $1, give $5, whatever you can. But every dollar goes back to the classroom for your kids. So please stop by the table.
Thank you.
Fun night.
Is that it, then? Okay. We'll start with the good of the cause. We always start, as usual, with our student representative, Mr. Sincheri.
So this morning, or should I say, good evening first. Yeah. This morning I had a meeting with Dr. Vanilla to just discuss what I would say at the board meeting. And one topic of discussion that came up at the meeting was the fact that on the first day of school, we came back with such ease. Like, we just went back into the school day as if we'd never left. On the first day, we went straight to learning. Usually, it's the first 2 days of school when you're back, we get supply lists, we get everything signed, our contract signed and everything, and we come to school. But we were right back in the learning groove. We got homework on the first day. On the second day, we kept on moving, and it seems like we never left, and the learning has just kept going since the first day. And we had sophomore orientation before the first day of school, and I was part of a small group of students that were the first ones to see the new cafeteria, and since seeing it, everyone's been happy. The cafeteria is a huge success. Everyone's happy to go to lunch so that we can sit in their new cafeteria with their flat screens everywhere, charging ports, like little tables where you can sit with your friends. It's just, the new revamped cafeteria is just, it provides like a new sense to the cafeteria and allows kids to actually enjoy going to the cafeteria for some reason. It looks really good. And right now, counseling is working on a senior seminar. It's basically to provide plans for post-high school plans. And basically it's being run in October, and you'll go down to the auditorium, and counseling will talk about what you should do once you get into college and what your plans are from there, because right now the biggest problem we're facing is college applications, SATs, and as a student it's all overwhelming, and counseling has done a great job with helping every single student and providing great facets where you can go and get help with every aspect of the college process. And finally, senior class council has been working with working with students to enhance school spirit. So we've been working on Battle of the Classes, which is basically a little fun game between the sophomores, the juniors, and the seniors to just foster a little school spirit and allow us to get in a good forum where we can play games and really relate with each other. So that's basically what's been going down at EPHS.
Part of the facelift to the cafeteria was one phase of it, but we also made a big effort to try to improve the quality of the food with the goal that more people actually purchase. Have you seen any of that going on?
Yes, I've definitely seen that. A lot of people, especially with the vending machines are a big hit. Everyone's been like getting more stuff from the vending machines, and it's just the fact that the cafeteria looks good makes the food even taste better. I know it sounds weird, but the fact that you're just happy to be there. A lot of people are buying more from the cafeteria because they just enjoy sitting in their cafeteria, the long tables, everything, just the whole design is making it more enticing, and everyone is just buying more and enjoying their time in the cafeteria because it looks better.
And do you find that they're able to get, one of the complaints we had previously was the time it took to actually get your food and didn't make it worth it to even buy because the period is so short to begin with. Has that been?
Yeah, the lines have been running much smoother. I remember the first day of school last year, they announced there wasn't going to be a senior line, and because of that, there was a lot of like congestion in the cafeteria. I didn't see that at all this year. Everything's been running smoothly. You get on the line within 3 to 4 minutes. You have your lunch. You're going back to your table, and everything's just been running very smoothly.
Great. That's nice to hear, huh?
Yeah, we like hearing it.
Hearing that.
Sure do.
We like hearing it.
I'll give you your check later.
Mrs. Shaw.
I just wanted to mention how saddened I was to say goodbye to Mr. Pellegrino, who passed away, I guess about 10 days ago. He taught at East Brunswick High School for over 50 years. He coached multiple sports over a long period of time, and he was a genuine gentleman who cared a great deal about the East Brunswick community and about our kids, and he will be greatly missed.
Thank you. That's true. Mrs. Becker?
I happened to be somewhere in town last week, and I came upon a group of women, some of whom I knew, whose kids had just started Churchill. So they had just come from the middle school to junior high. And one of the things they were celebrating with coffee was the fact that, oh God, I don't even have to go to back to school night now. They tell me everything. I don't have to join the PTA. It's, they felt for them a kind of freedom from certain logistical parts. And I kind of gave them another way to look at it, and it went over well, so I thought I'd share it. I think the kids need you even more involved, or at least as involved as they go through the secondary level of school. And back to school night and parent-teacher conferences shouldn't be the only time you feel you can ever contact or approach your children's teachers or the administrators, but it's a great formal way to stay involved, to stay in touch, to let the staff and administrators know you're involved, but it also sends a message, I think, to your kids that it's not a matter of being a helicopter parent. It's a matter of wanting to stay interested and informed. And we were talking about it, and they said, yeah, that, they hadn't really thought of it that way. So the benefit of a retro parent, it's really a good idea not to kind of drop out as your kids.
And I think it, provides evidence to your child that you do still care.
Yeah,
And that, exactly. So, although, you might think, it's kind of a pain to have to do this or do that, I think the reward that you get is tremendous.
Obviously, you have to, as parents, our kids are involved in so many things, and often we have multiple children in the school system at the same time. You can't do everything. You're going to miss something. But don't ever think that the district expects or your kids expect you to drop that level of involvement.
Mrs. Becker, I'd like to just touch on something you said. So this year as we opened school, I communicated to all the new teachers through a video about how it was my responsibility to be accessible and responsive. And the entire administrative team needs to be accessible and responsive. And so I want all of our community, our parents, to know that we are ready and willing to deal with their problems, their questions, their concerns. And we can't fix something we don't know about. So we encourage them to contact us. And yes, we do have a chain of command dealing with the building administration first before they come to central office. But we are heavily invested in making sure that everyone gets an answer.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you piggybacked on that, because there are parents who, just through misunderstanding, again, logistical process, feel that they have to wait to the parent-teacher conference to bring a concern, and you never have to do that in this district. And as far as back-to-school night goes, I think what we used to, we're still saying we prefer that parents don't bring up specific issues with their own child that night. That's kind of a night to have a group forum and an introduction to the school, gather information. You can certainly touch base with your child's teachers about when would be a good time to get in touch to set up a conference if you have concerns already. But never hesitate to pick up a phone or an email in this district.
Mrs. Howard, no? Mr. McAvoy.
Mrs. Shaw took the words right out of my mouth with regard to Mr. Pellegrino. I taught with Bill. I coached with Bill. As a matter of fact, Bill lived in our home for a 2-month period during his transition from East Brunswick to Princeton when he put the house up for sale on Kevin Road. And so just wanted to go on record as Bill is remembered as professional, trustworthy, respectful, and he was my definition of a man. Tomorrow is the 14th anniversary of the terrorist attack on the Twin Towers. While we remember the families in East Brunswick that were affected, and the East Brunswick fire volunteers that manned the firehouses in North Jersey, we also remember all of those that were lost and all of those that volunteered. Hopefully the lessons in tomorrow's classrooms will shed light on the mantra to never forget. Thank you, Dr. Cohen.
Thank you, Mr. McAvoy. Any other comments? We do have a need for a short closed session this evening, so I'd like to move that the Board of Education approve the following resolution. Whereas the Board of Education must discuss matters which are not appropriate for discussion in a public meeting, and whereas these subjects are within the exceptions of the Open Public Meetings Act and are permitted to be discussed in closed session pursuant to NJSA 10.4.12b, and whereas the Board of Education intends to discuss the following matters. Let me scroll down. Pursuant to NJSA 10.4.12b subsection 8, any matter involving the employment, appointment, termination of employment, terms and conditions of employment, evaluation of the performance of, promotion or discipline of any specific prospective public officer or employee or current public officer or employee employed or appointed by the public body, unless all individual employees or appointees whose rights could be adversely affected request in writing that such matters or matter be discussed in a public meeting. The nature of the matter described as specifically as possible without undermining the need for confidentiality is employees number 23609, 21427, 21394, and 23302. Whereas the length of the closed session is estimated to be 30 minutes, after which the public meeting of the board shall reconvene and proceed with business where formal action will be taken. Now therefore be it resolved that the East Brunswick Board of Education will recess into closed session for only the aforesaid subjects, and be it further resolved that the East Brunswick Board of Education hereby declares that its discussion of the aforesaid subjects will be made public at a time when the public's interest in disclosure is greater than any privacy or governmental interest being protected from disclosure in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act.
So moved.
Mrs. Shaw and Mrs. Howard, is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? Good evening, everybody. Thank you.